Hello, good morning, Joseph Meyer. Is it okay if I address you by Joe?
That was great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for joining our Business Spotlight interview for today. So what we're going to do today is, I'd like for our audience to understand if you could introduce yourself, basically your company, where you're located, and what you do.
Yeah. My name is Joe Meyer. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Execthread, which is based in New York City. We are a 8-year-old venture capital backed startup that brings transparency and accessibility to the hidden job market for both executives and aspiring executives alike.
If you could give me a bit of a background of your company, how long you've been, say you've been on for 8 years, where you're located, and what client that you serve yet.
Yeah, we're located in New York City.
Okay, great, great. So has your background always been in that area? How did you start? If you could give me how did you start a company?
I've been in the tech industry for the past 25 years, and been either a founder of companies or early stage executive at companies, or CEO of companies started by other people, but more recently been a founder.
Okay. So talk to me about your journey of the company. How it started, why you decided to start, when you became an entrepreneur, and how far you've come along in the last 8 years.
Yeah, I started the company because I, as a candidate, was frustrated by the fact that the majority of jobs, opportunities at the executive level are hidden. They're confidential, supposedly, and uh, uh, candidates at the executive level don't have transparency or access into that hidden job market. And at first, I thought the solution would be to crowdsource that information from candidates, which are now Execthread members. In other words, if they're approached by an executive recruiter for an opportunity and they don't want to pursue it, they would share that opportunity with Execthread. And in return for doing that, we would give them access to opportunities being shared by other Execthread members. The demand for that supply of jobs exceeded the supply of jobs. So we started then sourcing career opportunities off of the websites of executive search firms, um, which we do today. And we now source from thousands of executive search firms. And at any one time, we have 67,000 of these confidential, hidden, non-transparent career opportunities on our website, all the way from VP to SVP to EVP to C-suite, all the way up to board level. And these are job opportunities that are active searches that you would not find on Indeed or LinkedIn or on Glassdoor or any other major job board. These are the cream of the crop jobs that are not traditionally publicly posted.
So what would you attribute to your growth? Where did you start from, and how big is the
Yeah,
company now?
we grew for the first few years completely organically, i.e., via word of mouth and referrals, member to member referrals, or member to new member referrals, I should say. Only in the past 2 or 3 years have we started to pursue paid marketing opportunities and more, growth marketing sort of opportunities, usually performance-based marketing. But to this day, a decent portion of our growth is organic, word of mouth, and referral based. I attribute our growth to having a great team that works really hard, that executes exceptionally well, that enjoys what they do, combined with the fact that we have a value proposition that seems to resonate with a good number of executives. We're now up to 800,000 registered members in our network. We'll probably be at either 1 million or close to 1 million by the end of this calendar year, and we're growing by over 1,000 a week.
Oh wow. So in terms of that journey that you're talking about, so year one, I can assume that you started out the company by yourself and maybe a
That's
partner.
correct. That's correct.
And as the year passed by, you had a team, you recruited a team. Can
Yep.
you walk the audience through how you made that determination of when it felt like, because you realize that what happens is that most people start a business and they stay in by themselves for a long time,
Yeah,
right? But you've been able to transition from that to having a team.
yeah,
How big is your team right now, and how did you? I know you grew organically. What were the
yeah.
steps in which you went through to actually grow that organically?
So yeah, I did start out by myself, me and my laptop on a in a Starbucks or in a library or a garage. Brought on a technical counterpart to help me
Okay.
productize it in the early days. After a 6 to 12 month incubation period, where I grassrooted this myself and subsidized it myself out of my own back pocket. Then went and raised venture capital after we had some proof points, enough to warrant and attract VCs. After we raised venture capital, that's when we started growing the team. Um, and That said, we've taken a very engineering driven mindset and heavy product orientation. And you know what, I'm going to sneeze for a second. I apologize. Sorry about that. You can't control, Mother Nature. In any event, so we've taken a very engineering driven approach and a very digitally enabled and automated mindset. And what that means is that we let the computer code and the computer do the work, and we let our members do the work also in a self-serve manner, which
Mhm.
means that we can service close to 1 million registered members with high engagement rates with only around 20 total employees, only 5 of which are full-time and around 15 of which are contractors, hourly contractors. Um, but again, we take a very automated approach to everything we do, which means everything we do scalably.
Great. So how many people that do you have now on your team?
Yeah, like I said, around 20, 5 of
20.
which are full
Okay.
time, and around 15 of which are paid hourly contractors.
Wow. Wow. That's impressive. So I'm sure, now that you're 8 years into the company, you look back, in hindsight, it's always 2020, and you say to yourself that, you know, these are some of the things that I would have done differently. If you had to start from square one in the business, what would you have done differently?
I mean, I try not to play Monday morning quarterback. I try not to, no one can recreate history.
Yeah.
Um, Everything happens for a reason. I really wouldn't change much, to be quite honest. We are who we are today because of the trials and tribulations and of the past, and the bumps in the road and the potholes, which hurt us along the way but didn't kill us, only made us stronger. While it hasn't been up and to the right the entire time, and while it's not a hockey stick growth, even though it is strong growth, you know, I wouldn't change anything. It made us stronger, and it gave us more resolve. Um, Doing it the way we did it, um, and I wouldn't change a thing.
What has your biggest learning been as an employer since you began your business?
Yeah, when I think of being an employer, I really think of being a founder, a CEO, a hirer of people, a manager of people, a motivator of people. Um, yeah, you just have to recruit really good people. Be very clear with what your expectations are.
Hmm.
You have to get people who have a strong work ethic and who are personally, individually motivated, and who have a moral compass. Um, and then, with clear direction, and hopefully they're a good fit for whatever role you put them in. You give them autonomy, you give them flexibility, uh, and uh, and you let them do their job. Um, yeah, and the rest usually takes care of itself. Now, it never always plays out that perfectly or cleanly, but we have a pretty good track record here at Execthread of recruiting and retaining people. The first few years, it was a little tough, but the last 4 or 5, we've had little to no turnover, And I attribute that to the fact that we treat people like adults and we leave them alone. We share the desired outcome of projects and we let them do it and bring it back done. So
That's impressive. So talk to me about recruiting, and you spoke about the key being getting people that have all these qualities, self-motivated,
yeah,
go-getters and all that. I'm sure that you have a pool of people that come for the interview. How do you find that needle in the haystack?
yeah. So first and foremost, we don't try to solve problems or fill holes or uh, uh, with a let's hire a person to do that in mind. We're always trying to figure out how we can solve problems or create opportunities uh, through the user experience, through the code, through the SaaS-based model that we are. We don't try to throw bodies at problems uh, or opportunities. We try to first figure out if we could do it without hiring someone. Only after we figure out if we truly need to add someone do we open up a search, and we are very selective. We try to fill roles through referrals from our own team or investors. But more importantly, we're looking for the intangibles in a search. Yes, they have to have some background in the function that we're recruiting in or for, but it's those intangibles that we prioritize the most, which is, are they a good communicator? Do we think they'll get along with the team? Is there no ego? Is there a history of a work ethic? Is there a history of kind of staying the course and not jumping around? Um, is there a true interest in us and us a true interest in them? But do we think they can come on board and with some lightweight supervision and oversight hit the ground running and do it in a autonomous, independent, yet collaborative way? That's what we look for, and it's hard to find. But we're never in a rush to fill a role. We'd rather prolong the search to find the right person.
That's great, interesting. So, in terms of running the business and your personal life, how do you balance both?
Yeah, I was just talking about this with my therapist yesterday. I'm 53 years old. I'm not a 20, 30-year-old kid anymore. With age, hopefully comes a little bit of wisdom and
Yeah,
perspective. And,
yeah,
I'm more balanced these days. I'm less burning the midnight oil. I'm less foot on the gas 24/7. I work hard during the work week and, during on work weekdays. Um, you know, only rarely or occasionally put time in over the weekends. I try to divide my life between, my work and my family. Um, but when I'm working, I work hard, and when I'm not working, I enjoy my time not working. Um, and I think that's been more feasible and easier to accomplish as a 53-year-old than as a 33-year-old or a 23-year-old.
so has it always been like that, or you just made improvements along the way, like you did mention? Were you working like 80 hours a week, decrease it to 40,
Yeah,
or
so
like what does
so
it look
so
like?
I think I mean I don't really count my hours. I'm an entrepreneur, and no one's telling
Yeah,
me to work, when to work, or how to work, or how long to work. I work
yeah.
because of my own reasons. In an average week, I would say it's no less than 50 hours, but probably maybe a few more. But it doesn't feel like that because I'm putting in an hour here, an hour there, a few hours here. I'm not like,
Yeah.
sitting at a desk with a manager micromanaging me, looking at the clock, waiting for the day to end. The day never ends. I work, I'll pick up my phone at 3 a.m. in the morning if I can't sleep and do some work, or I'll do it at 3 p.m. or anything in between. There's,
Yeah.
and everyone, I have people on 6 different continents. They work at different points of the day around their own schedule. Um, And I think uh, having a balanced perspective on things. The other thing I would say is our business model and our steadfastness around automation and digital enablement and steering clear of professional services and steering clear of managed services type businesses has enabled us to run a business that generates revenue while we sleep. And when I was at eBay earlier in my career, we talked about that. It's great to run businesses or operate businesses or manage businesses that generate revenue while you sleep, which means I'm not out there pitching anyone. I'm not there out selling anything. I'm not out servicing customers. Everything's done for our user experience, and everything's walk up and self-serve and automated and digitally enabled. And it doesn't mean that we don't work hard to make that happen, but revenue generates while we sleep. That's the type of business that I enjoy running.
And that's a great point that you just made. I think one of the things is, automate the things that you can automate, right? Doing less for more. How do you, as a service business, I'm thinking about how do you generate business while you sleep? Is it using more of the
Yeah, I would
system
say,
that you
I would say, I
created?
would say, you need a revenue model and a business model that is conducive to that,
Okay.
and we have one. But you also need to be headstrong and disciplined and focused and steadfast in saying, this is the type of business I want to run, and this is the type of business I don't want to run. And even if there's revenue potential in the direction of the type of business I don't want to run, you're going to resist the temptation to pursue it, because if you pursue it for the wrong reasons, just because there's revenue there, be careful what you wish for, because then you're going to have to service and sell it, right? You're going to have to, you're going to have to manage people and to do things, hire and manage people to do things. Whereas if you have a focus around running a business that generates revenue while you sleep, that is your guiding light.
Oh, great. Thanks for it. So in the next 5 years, what do you see yourself and your company?
Continued growth. I mean, we've been growing every year. We've grown every year, member base every year after year, exponentially. Every year, stronger growth than the previous year. For the past 5 years, we've grown revenue every year. We've grown profitability every year, and we've grown cash flow every year. And I see no reason why that shouldn't and won't continue, as long as we keep doing what we're doing, which is staying focused on the user experience, improving and evolving and enhancing the service that we provide, and doing it better than anyone else does. As long as we do that, we'll continue to grow and have the type of business we all want to work for.
So one of the last few questions I had is, what is your end goal for this business as part of the exit plan?
I mean, we're venture capital back, so I kind of have to say that the end goal is an exit and liquidity for our investors. My real answer, to be quite honest, is just keep doing what we're doing, which is servicing our members, making the user experience as good as it can be, and continuing to grow the top line of the business while continuing to grow the bottom line of the business, and continuing to selectively and surgically hire and retain good people. If we keep doing that, something good will happen down the road. And even if nothing good happens down the road in terms of a liquidity event or an acquisition or anything like that, we have a very profitable, fat, strong, growing business here that somebody would have to pay us a lot of money to, take it away from us.
Great. Thank you very much, Joe. So the last question, so where do people find your company in case somebody listening to this wants to go out there, do some, where would you find you?
Yeah, just go to execthread.com, EXECTHREAD.com. My email address is joe@execthread.com. Yeah, reach out to me directly or go to the user experience and the website, and the rest should be pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, great. So any last words to a younger version of yourself out there that's looking to start something similar that you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. What would I say to my younger self? I would say, you know, uh, uh, slow down a little. Uh, uh, don't be so focused on uh, uh, the uh, the outcome. Enjoy the ride.
Thank you very much, Joe, for being part of our business spotlight interview for today. We thoroughly enjoyed it, and definitely we'll be following your business and we're checking it out. And thank you for making the time to join us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Nana, and I've enjoyed the conversation as well.